Hi, everyone. I am Natalie Cook, the CEO and owner of Finance Fight Club. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to prepare your business for 2026. So, we are winding down in Q4 of 2025 right now, or killing it the last quarter, hopefully. But you should still be starting to think about what you're going to do next year in your business. And I have a 12-month planning guide that is great for planning for the following year. And it's really about that strategic thinking piece before you get to the forecasting and the budgets and the numbers. You're going to do a little numbers, but mostly thinking. So if you're interested in that today, stick around and we are going to cover that in this video. Please like and subscribe and comment down below as you go. We are new to this channel and new to YouTube, so we would love all the love. So thank you for being here today. All right, let's get started. So if you are thinking about 2026, you're in the right spot. I haven't done my 2026 plan. It's on my list to do in the next couple of weeks. I've been thinking about it and brainstorming. What do I want the vision to be? What do I want the business to feel like? Where do I want it to go? This is how you get started in a strategic plan, especially if you're a small, closely held business. When you are a large corporation, you're going to have rhythms of the business and other people involved, but maybe you're small, you have a couple owners, or it's just you and you're trying to figure out next year. One of the things that we do as fractional CFOs is we take that vision and translate it into numbers, but without the vision, we're just making stuff up. And that's not helpful. It's going to be wrong. It's not going to be effective. And so one thing we push on for our clients is, do you have a strategic plan? Do you know what you're trying to aim for in a certain period of time? Whether it be the following year, whether it be 6 months from now, whether it be 10 years from now, if you have that goal, then a fractional CFO can be incredibly helpful in helping you achieve that goal. You don't have a goal, stick with a bookkeeper and a controller and don't have a fractional CFO. So today, let's get out a pen and paper. That's my favorite place to start, or a handy dandy whiteboard. Go take some walks. Think about what you want for next year. And the best place, I think, to start, especially if you are a small, closely held partnership or a single member business owner, is to think about your personal income and your personal needs and wants. Are you reaching that goal? Is this a year where you want to push that part of your business forward, or where you're like, hey, we're just going to push the business forward, I'm set financially? That's where I would start. If you're on the fence, if you're not quite making what you need to be making personally, or you don't feel quite secure in your personal financials, let's get that set first and work the business around that. And then you can push the business in a couple different directions the following year or the following quarter. So start there, write down, what do you need your personal income to be? What do you need your needs, deals and wants? This is not a provisors meeting for those of you in provisors. What do you need your business income to be? What are your personal income needs and wants? How can you save for retirement? How can you save for an emergency fund with the income you're making from your business? And then I want you to look at your business numbers and know, is that going to support you and your business partners, whoever is involved, whoever is receiving money from this business? Now, once you've gotten that all sorted, and we could have a whole video on that. So I am breezing past this. If you don't have it sorted, we're going to put a pin in it. You're going to mark some time in your calendar. You're going to figure that out. The next piece is, where do you want the revenue to be? So if you figured out the personal income, let's say I need to make $5,000 a month. Can my business support it? If it's not supporting it right now, okay, then we got to do some analysis to figure out what it is going to be, what it needs to be in order to support that. Do I need to make $20,000 a month? Do I need to make $100,000 a month? What does that revenue goal have to be? So that's where I want you to really think. And sometimes with our clients, we kind of dig deep, and I push on them in a few different ways. I will say, hey, what if we got the business to $350,000 a month? What if we got it to $500,000 a month? What if we got it to $100,000 a month? Sometimes really pushing them out of their comfort zone of like, hey, can you do it? What would it look like if this is the case? And that's a really good way to frame up your strategy. So if you are new to kind of this strategic thinking and you're like, okay, well, we made $1 million last year, so I'm just going to grow the business by 15% and make another 150K. Or that's not 15% of that, 15,000. I can't think right now. I can't do math in my head while I'm making videos. Whatever that is, you can say, okay, we're just going to grow my little 15%. But what if you doubled your business? What if you tripled your business? What would you need in place to do that? And so that's where I want this revenue goal. It needs to be more open. It needs to not be based in like, okay, well, I could just hire 3 more people and then I could get here. It's like, no, let's start from the top. What could it be? And then let's work backwards to see how you could support it. That's just one way to forecast. And we're not going to get into different ways of forecasting in this video, but that's not a wrong way to do it. It might feel uncomfortable, but it is a great way to push your vision forward. And it's a great way to just like imagine what could be if your business was making a couple $1,000,000 a year versus the $100,000 a year you're doing now. So sit with that, take some walks, go out in nature, drink some coffee, whatever. Write that down. And then I want you to think about it from this way. So if, let's say your goal is $1,000,000, you've never reached $1,000,000, then I want you to line up what products and services you are offering and how much you have to sell of each of those things in order to get your revenue goal. And that's just a simple math exercise. Okay, I need to sell 10 contracts at $100,000 a year to make $1,000,000. Could you do that? How would you do that? Think about that. How could you mix it? You're never going to get the exact mix you do in this scenario. So it's not about being correct. It is about brainstorming and looking at all the different paths to get to your goal. There's not one path, there's multiple paths. So what are all the paths? This is just, we're going to offer in 2026 these 3 services for this price. We think that if we sell X, Y, and Z of each of these, we'll get to $1,000,000. That's kind of what you're trying to get to. You can have lots of different plans. Have 10 plans if it makes you feel comfortable. If one, it feels like enough, do it. I like to have for our clients like a best case. Like, what if you could magically make this appear? And we kind of set it in the beginning of the year. We say, okay, this is what it is, but we know that it's not going to necessarily happen that way. And then we might make like a worst case scenario, and that's really your cash strategy, your cash plan. How do you build reserves? And then you have this medium scenario, which is probably more the realistic, like, hey, we're going to kind of fit somewhere in here. We're not going to hire until XYZ is true. So just think about what works for you. How do you like to run your business? What do you need to feel like you know what's going on? So again, brainstorm these products and services. I really like a notebook. I really like to just think, do I like what I'm doing right now? Do I like these clients that I'm serving? Does it work for my team? Does it work for me? Are we priced correctly? All of these little pieces, I just like to sit and brainstorm and think about them and not put them in an Excel spreadsheet. I do think it's really helpful if at this point you feel like you need some data, take your financials year to date or the rolling last 12 months. So be like, we're on October right now. So maybe you take November through October of this year or somewhere in that 12-month mark and just look. What gave you the most revenue? What didn't give you the most revenue? Where could you cut? Where does pricing not feel good? Where does just like the vision not feel there? Like if you are, branded a certain way and you want to support a certain group and you're not making it happen in that way, what could you do differently? Where could you kind of push that vision forward? Next, I want you to think about what products in that vision could be cut. What doesn't need to exist? I think this year we're not cutting any products. Last year, it was, I think that we're not going to sell this particular scope anymore. We kind of wound down a couple clients in a particular scope because it just wasn't fitting. That's kind of how I like to do it. I don't specifically just cut services. I guess we did for our membership. We're going to bring that back. And then I like to think about new launches. So what's missing? Maybe it's just restructuring the scope of work that you're providing if you're a service provider, or maybe a product needs new colors. Maybe the sweatpants that you're offering need new colors, things like that. Where could you put those product launches? And then I just want you to map out kind of, okay, how much do we need to sell? What's the price? And what quarter could we launch it in? Just do that. It doesn't need to be specific. It doesn't need to be exact, but let's say, hey, we need to get through to quarter 1, 2, 3 with XYZ. What could we do? And that's all you're going to do. And it doesn't have to be accurate. It's just brainstorming. Again, with your team, think about it. Maybe spend some time separately and then come together and be like, okay, everybody, what do we want to launch in 2026? What do we want to think about? Now I want you to think about, okay, we've got our current products. We're going to keep this core. We're going to get rid of these ones. We're going to add these ones. Okay, what do we need to do to make it happen? What is our overhead going to look like? Or SG&A or admin costs? What is that going to be? How does that work? And how can we make that happen? Are there any new things that we need? Do we need all new computers? Do we need new software? Kind of put that in there. What's those big new dollars that you need to spend that's going to be incremental to what you've already been spending? Then I want you to think about sales and marketing. Okay, so we're going to go launch our services. We've been working in a particular industry. Say you've been working in healthcare, but now you want to be supporting clients the same way, but in product service. I don't know. I'm thinking like grocery products or something. Those are very different. I don't know how you would compare the two, but let's just say that's what you want to do. Okay, so what marketing and sales dollars do you need to commit in order to get into that vertical? And that's what I want you to just like brainstorm. It doesn't have to be accurate. Like sometimes my dollars that I make up are like, yeah, I think $40,000. Let's just stick it in there. We don't know. We're going to get estimates and then come back. And it's just a plug. And that's okay. Does not need to be accurate. I think that can trip a lot of people up when they're strategic planning. They do not have to be accurate at this point. Now I want you to think, what other costs? What else do you need? Do you need new equipment? Do you need new vehicles? Do you need um, new branded swag? No, you could be. That's all you're going to do is you're just going to say, okay, we need these new things. It's going to be around this dollars, and then we're going to time it per quarter. I don't need this in Q1. I can do it in Q2. I can do this in Q3, Q4. That's all you're going to do. And then I want you to kind of take that and write out a kind of a summary for Q1. What's your expected revenue? What's your personal income goal? What's your investment and expenses? What are your action steps to make that happen? Q2, same thing. Q3, Q4. That's your strategic plan for the year. Very simple, straightforward. It's going to change. That is what you take and build into a strategic forecast and budget for 2026 with the help of a finance person. Maybe that's you, maybe it's not you. If you liked this process and the strategy, I actually have a written guide where you can download it and do it yourself. I will link it in the comments. If you like this video, like and subscribe, write your comments. How are you doing annual planning for 2026? What are you thinking about? Have you blocked time? Are you going to go on a walk? I don't think that I've blocked my time yet. So as soon as I get off this video, I'm going to do that. And I like to do a handful of walks if the weather's nice, where I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Weather's not it's tricky. Coffee shops by myself, notebook and pen. That's it. Discussed with my team. Does not have to be complicated. And at the end of the day, the exact numbers aren't going to be accurate. It's the vision. Are you reaching the vision? Are you protecting yourself financially? Is the business making enough cash? If all those three are true, you are on the right track. So thank you for being here today. I am Natalie Cook with Finance Fight Club. You have a wonderful day.